Hello guys. So welcome to part two of this developing a two-party system. I changed my background a little. Now you can actually see what I'm writing on the board. So we're still under this developing a two-party system. But now there's two parties we're gonna stick around with for a while, but so we now have two parties: the Federalist, the Feder, and the Democratic Republicans. So political parties can seem confusing, especially in America, because they changed around a lot. For example, the Federalists won't be with us anymore after the War of 1812. But as long as you keep paying attention to these groups, it will be easier. I just ate a Chipotle bowl, and yeah. So, Democratic Republicans, Federalist and Democratic Republicans, with the two-party system of government in its founding stages in the United States. A continent away, events were taking place that would further the evolution of the Federalist and the Democratic Republican Party. The people of France were taking their cues from the American Revolution and rebelling against the authoritarian leadership of King Louis. As war ensued between France and Great Britain in 1793, conflict arose in America as the Federalist and Democratic Republicans disagreed on where to place their loyalties. According to the Franco-American Alliance of 1778, the United States was bound to aid France whenever called upon. But at the time of the alliance, no one could foresee that France would become embroiled in conflict against Britain and that the United States might be called upon to repel British forces from French lands. The emerging American political parties took opposite sides of the issues. The Democratic Republicans wanted to demonstrate loyalty to the French, who had helped them claim their own liberty, although Jefferson only wanted to lend moral support. He did not believe that the French would call upon the United States to uphold their end of the treaty. Conversely, the Federalists under Hamilton's leadership implored President Washington to declare the 1778 treaty suspended. Hamilton's primary goal was to maintain a peaceful relationship with Britain to ensure continued trade to support the American economy. So we are glancing at the first instance where foreign policy was enacted. The Federalists wanted to remain loyal to France. They did help with the American Revolution. The Democratic Republicans, what did they want to do? They wanted to stay neutral, not get involved. That was their whole goal because it threatened their trading with Britain. George Washington's response was an action of inaction. He issued the Neutrality Proclamation in 1793, which declared the United States neutral between Britain and France and strongly urged people to avoid any alliance. So he stuck with the Democratic Republican lines of staying neutral, not getting involved. Okay, the Democratic Republicans perpetually found themselves at odds with the Federalists as British continued to battle with France. Britain ignored Washington's proclamation of neutrality, assumed America was allied with France, and seized ships in the West Indies and captured many American sailors. Although both the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans were outraged, they had very different opinions about how America should respond. Under Hamilton's leadership, the Federalists were most concerned with the economy and wanted to avoid war at all costs. In contrast, the Democratic Republicans, following Jefferson's leadership, felt America was obliged to again fight Britain for its liberty. This did not happen this time, but it's bound to happen. Because I fervently believe that same with the American Revolution, many students ask me, do you think if they waited a while and let things settle down that we may still be under British rule? And I say, in my opinion, it was bound to happen at some point. Like the War of 1812 was bound to happen at some point. Okay. Washington stepped in to contain the situation. He sent Federalist Chief Justice John Jay to London in 1794 to negotiate a treaty with Britain to maintain trade relations and avoid war. So, sticking with the neutrality point of view, J.W. sent J.J. John Jay to London for peace talks, basically. Hey, we want peace, we don't want to destroy the army, the economy, we don't want war. Let's figure out some peace. Not surprisingly, Jay's negotiations were ineffective, garnering only minor victories for the United States. Jay's treaty gave the British 18 months to withdraw from the western forts, although they were given the right to continue fur trade with the Indians. The treaty also called for America to repay debts incurred to England during the Revolutionary War. Although there was a public outcry over this treaty, the Senate passed the treaty in 1795. The Democratic Republicans raged while the effects of the Jay's Treaty rippled across the United States and beyond. Spain, fearing that the treaty indicated burgeoning loyalties between US and England, moved to gain a foothold by establishing its own alliance with America. In Pekingese Treaty of 1795, the Spanish granted almost all the United States requests, including ownership of the previously disputed territory north of Florida. The treaty also gave American Western farmers and traders the right of deposit at New Orleans, because New Orleans, like it is today, was a major port. We live in a port city, guys. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about Washington's farewell address. Washington farewell address. And what this address is to many scholars is the first president of the United States assessing what's going on in American history at that point, assessing what's going on in the infancy of America, and giving Americans a warning if we want to go on as a country. Washington delivered his farewell address via newspapers. In this communication, he conveyed his concerns regarding alliances. Washington felt that no alliance should be permanent, but rather limited to extraordinary emergencies and then only temporary. So first, no alliances. 2, no political parties. And 3, stay neutral. Those 3 are major parts of Washington's farewell address. Now the question for some people is, did America live up to that in early foreign policy and in the early republic? And that's what we'll discuss. We can easily say number 2, no, America did not live up to no political parties. 200 years later, America has not lived up to this, guys. But that was his warning. That's what he saw going on in America and warned against it. So, that's important for you to know. That being said, hope you have a great day and see you in the next outline video. Next time, I always like to give you a next time. We are going to talk about the presidency of John Adams, the second president of the United States.